On today's show, it is mission accomplished for the Washington Wizards. The dark cloud that hung over this franchise this season has finally been lifted.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, you're locked on to the Washington Wizards, where you're part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team, free and available every single day. My name is Ben Strober, and I'm a credentialed media member covering the Washington Wizards alongside my good friend, the DC sports content creating savant, Abdullah Ayyubi. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. On today's show, got a chance to catch up in the locker room with Justin Champagnie. Yesterday, I want to detail some of the thoughts he gave me about player development and what he's seen and how it's going to affect others around the Wizards over the course of the next year or so. Anthony Davis and Trae Young officially shut down, according to head coach Brian Keefe yesterday. But most importantly, it is mission accomplished for this Washington Wizards team. AB, it's official. This season will not be for nothing. The Wizards have made sure they will have a pick in the first round of this draft, and they have secured top odds. So they'll have a 14% chance of the number one overall pick, whether their ceiling of where they are, or their floor rather, of where they can pick is 5 or 6 or 7. That still is a little bit up in the air, but we'll get into the details of that. But it feels like a dark cloud has just elevated itself off of this franchise. It feels good. What a relief.
Mission accomplished, right, Ben? Was there ever really a doubt? Definitely at the beginning of the season when this team won a couple of games in a stretch. But I'm just happy that this is going to be the last time where we have to deal with some type of asterisk when it comes to this season and anything that's holding us back for us to go out there and actually win games. Because next season, there is no top 8 protection. You have to go out there and compete.
Yeah, it's such a relief that we got to this point finally. It took 79 games for it to happen, but that trade that sent John Wall away from the franchise, which was a devastating day for a 17-year-old me, devastating day for you, a devastating day for a lot of Wizards fans.
And that was 5 years ago, Ben.
5 years ago, and something that could have significant consequences in the future when this team was rebuilding. Nobody really thinks about that. You know, in life, when you know something's going to happen in 5 or 6 years ago, oh, that's 5 or 6 years from now. We don't really got to worry about that. Well, they said we're going to get that bridge when we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. That's what happened this year. And the Wizards accomplished what I think was their primary goal of this season. Outside of player development, they had to make sure that they lost enough games to keep their first round pick. They made it happen. Last night, they lose by plenty. They lose by 30 at the Chicago Bulls last night, but the results are the results right now. They are not relevant. I do not care about the results at this point. I'll talk about a couple of things I noticed from the game. But for this Wizards team to accomplish the goal, it is a good feeling overall because we've been in this position before as Wizards fans late in the season before they were willing to rebuild under Tommy Shepard and Ernie Grunfeld, who were removed from their positions because they were not good enough at their jobs. And they put themselves in a state of purgatory where they were mediocre for so long. And what the Wizards fans felt like back in 2021, 2022, that's what the Brooklyn Nets fans are feeling right now. If you see how they are reacting on Twitter right now after they've won a couple games in a row here and have got themselves not really poised for a top spot in the lottery anymore, their fans are not happy about it whatsoever. Have you seen some of that, AB?
Yeah, they are livid, Ben. That outcome that against Wizards Nets, we ended up losing. They were just like, what are we doing? This past year, we had 5 first-round picks, and it looks like we're not hitting on any of those guys, and we need a top guy considering the fact that this draft class is loading coming up. So if you're a Wizards fan, just remember that you could be in that position, but this organization is doing it right.
Exactly. And it's not to say that, like, the Nets, none of those guys are going to hit in their picks. I think it's way too early to dictate where a player will be in a couple of years when they're 18 or 19 years old, 20 years old, and just playing in their first year in the NBA. You got to give some of these players a lot more time. So if you're a Brooklyn Nets fans, you can be hopeful that some of these players will pan out in the future. But this draft, I think, was too important, and the front office was pretty transparent about it, that they knew this class was going to be loaded for the last couple of years. I think they had this idea when they came and took over the front office in the summer of 2023 that they knew there was going to be a stacked class in 2026. They knew 2025 would be really good, and it was. You're able to get Trey Johnson and Will Riley, but they knew 2026 would be even better, and that keeping this first round pick had to be the top priority for this team. They made it happen, and you got to give credit to the Wizards for making it happen, because I think losing that first round pick could have been possibly detrimental.
Oh, that would have been devastating, man.
For what they're trying to do right now, rebuilding this team with the full deconstruction that they've gone through, they had to make sure that they got that first round pick this year. And now the fact that you have guaranteed your bottom three, which means you're going to have as good as odds as anybody to get the number one overall pick, is also another positive. As it stands right now, I'll give you a little bit of the details on where things stand over the final 3 games of the season here. So the Wizards will clinch a bottom 2 record if they lose one more of the 3 remaining games. You got Chicago again tomorrow, Miami one more time on Friday, and then at Cleveland next Monday to wrap up the regular season. They probably don't win any of those 3 games. Chicago seemed like a team on paper that the Wizards could win one of those games, but yesterday things obviously did not go the Wizards' way in terms of the results on the floor, but obviously this was the result they were hoping for overall this season, is that you lose enough games. So they're able to accomplish that goal. The only way the Wizards could pick outside of the top 6 if they clinch a bottom 2 record is if they won out, and if Brooklyn loses out, and then they lose a tiebreaker coin flip. So it's looking good for the Wizards at least being in the top 6, but it seems very, very possible at this point and very likely that the Wizards finish with the worst record in the league, which means they'll be able to pick no worse than 5, which I think is very, very important for them in this draft.
Yeah, 100%. I just don't see the Wizards winning any of these last 3 games. It just wouldn't make any sense right now. You do all that work to just lose. And I feel like despite the odds and how we always talk about this flawed system, if you follow the 5, which I don't want to happen, but if you do, there's still a good talent there, and you just won't be in the same position that you were in last year, and you fall to 6 essentially.
They want to get as much young talent on this team as possible, and that's why they went through the whole deconstruction phase. You're tearing the roster down from the ground up, and building a foundation with the players that you have in the building right now. And obviously, when you have one of the more stacked classes in recent history, a lot of people are saying that this draft class is going to go down as one of the best probably since 2003. And everybody knows that 2003 draft class was so unbelievably good. And people think there legitimately could be 7 to 8 franchise-changing players in this draft class. And if you're Washington in that sense, you hope that's the case, because that means if you're picking in the top 5 regardless, you're probably getting a franchise-type changing player. Now, the one caveat here, you have to remember, if you're a Wizards fan in this situation and you do have the worst record in the league, it is essentially a coin flip whether or not you're going to pick in the top 4. 52% chance to pick in the top 4, 48% chance that you will fall to 5. And obviously, it's not ideal. It's not a good system.
It still bugs me out. I don't like those odds, man.
It bugs me. I dislike it. But at the end of the day, those are the odds. You have to deal with it. And yesterday, Will Dawkins joined the Sports Junkies on 106.7 The Fan. And he said, we are prepared to play the ball where it lies, were the words that he used. We've done so in the past. We fell to 6 last year. We're prepared for whatever situation we fall into. We feel like we're going to be able to get a player that really helps us out. Obviously, you want to pick in the top 3 and realistically the top 4. I think if you are in the top 4, which the Wizards have a 52% chance, a little bit better than a coin flip of happening, you are golden. If you get one of these top 4 guys, I think you are set to really see this franchise making a massive leap next year, a massive ascension with one of these players, because I think the talent is that good. The pedigree of these guys is incredible. And it hasn't felt like that. Even last year, it did feel like Cooper Flag or bust, I think, if I'm not mistaken, AB.
Yeah.
I don't know if
on
that's
my end at least, yeah.
We knew it was a good draft class. Trey Johnson, I think, is going to be a really special player in this league. I think Ace Bailey is going to be a great player in this league. Con Knipple looks like a superstar. He's a lot better than I anticipated, I'll admit that. Dylan Harper, no, he's a really good player. But it felt like Cooper Flag was that one guy that you had to have. Now it feels like there's 4 guys you have to have in this upcoming draft class. And if you're the Washington Wizards, you have to like your chances at getting one of those guys right here. I can already see the comments, people saying, we're going to get 5. It's guaranteed. It doesn't matter. It might happen.
I don't blame them, man.
It might happen. I don't blame you for feeling a little bit down and a little bit scared that something like that will happen, because the odds indicate that there's a realistic chance that does happen. But you got to be hopeful, because this season wasn't for nothing. You're going to get a talented player in this draft, and that was the most important thing.
You know what's something we haven't talked about, Ben, yet? Who are we sending down there to represent us during the lottery?
So they keep asking about that, and they're like...
Juju? For good Juju?
That's actually good. It's a good bit. So last year was Bub. So Bub is definitely banned from going
Oh
to
yeah.
yeah, Bub can't go back. Who did we send when we got number 2?
Was it Bilal?
I don't know.
I don't even remember.
You could look outside the build. Like they said yesterday, Will on the Junkies said that they're weighing all of their options even outside of the building. AB, what if they sent you?
Send one of us. I'm down. I'm down.
Would you go?
I'll either be on my knees in misery, or if we get number one, just know that the program might get shut down.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
That'd
So
be
here's
amazing.
one AV. This I was thinking about this when I was driving home yesterday. If the Wizards get the first overall pick, I feel like you and I should have to do some kind of like punishment or something, some
Oh,
kind of humiliation ritual. What do we think that should be? Should we let the comments decide that?
yeah. Let us know in the comment section. Anything that's legal, of course.
Please make it legal, make it reasonable. Don't make it something that's going to get us fired from this job, but it can be it can be whatever you think would be like worthy of celebrating getting the number 1 pick, because I think we should make it a good bit somehow if we
Hundred
can.
percent.
Because it'd be so worth celebrating if you get the number 1 overall pick. I'm just really excited right now that we have this dark cloud finally lifted over the franchise, because you just had to think about it the entire season. Like, oh man, are they going to lose enough games? Are they winning too much right now? They've won 7 of their last 12. I was never worried about them losing it. I think they had a plan in place the entire time, and obviously it's gotten down to the point you have 8 different players available on any given night. 6 of those guys played with the Capital City Go-Go, so it is what it is. That was what was always going to happen, but the Wizards made sure that they got the job done. They accomplished their number 1 goal this season. That's what I am thrilled about.
May 10th. Just circle your calendar.
Circle that calendar. All right, Anthony Davis and Trae Young will be out for the remainder of the season. This isn't shocking, obviously, but let's talk a little bit about that when we come back. The NBA playoffs are here, where every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. Here's what I like about it. You can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. The app makes it easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, and matchups all in one place. During the playoffs, that extra insight really matters when you're looking at the stars, role players, and those key moments. It makes the entire playoff experience more engaging from start to finish. If you look at the odds right now, OKC is obviously the favorite to win this whole thing, but who are we sleeping on to be the title? Is it worthy to take a run on San Antonio to actually win this Western Conference? They've played well against OKC, so if you want to sprinkle a little bit of money on that, you could probably get some good value right there. So head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. It is tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert and get your documents uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. Just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. Feels like a good day, AB, to be a Washington Wizards fan. I've been in such a joyful mood today, just knowing that we do not have to worry about this top 8 protection anymore on this pick. One other note that is not ideal, I guess, in the situation, but it's much better than the alternative. The Wizards will have to send over a second-round pick this year and the following year, but that is much better than giving up a top 8 pick in this upcoming draft. So I just wanted to point that out there. So Anthony Davis and Trae Young will not play the remainder of the season. This isn't shocking. There's literally only 3 games left, but Brian Keefe finally announced it yesterday. They were just kind of putting it off and off and off and off and off until we finally got to the point like, all right, there's only 3 games left. They said Anthony Davis had been progressing and they've been trying to work him back and ramp him up a little bit, but they just run out of time. And obviously now that makes sense. You're playing a back-to-back on Thursday and Friday, then you have one more game after that. And the Wizards are set on trying to get that number 1 spot in the Tankathon standing, so the worst you could fall is 5. So it doesn't really make any sense to have Anthony Davis go out there and play. They said Trae Young was a little bit further behind on the timeline right now, so the debut of those two playing together will have to wait until at least next year. AB, like, it kind of makes whenever that day is, like opening night of next year, a little bit more special because it's going to look so different than right now. If you're having a hard time watching these Wizards games right now because the results are what the results are right now, just know that lineup on opening night next year is going to look so different you won't even be able to recognize it. You'll literally have Trae Young and Anthony Davis on the floor for this team for the first time. That's going to be a real special night. I really hope they open the season at home. It just feels like that'd be right, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And just another small accomplishment of the season, Ben. Despite the tanking, the league just didn't fine you compared to what Indiana got that
That's true.
$500,000 fine.
That's
So I
true.
think that's pretty good. And I think this was a big part of it. There's a reason why they kept putting off AD and Trae Young. And I knew Anthony Davis wasn't going to come back. It just wouldn't make any sense and for both parties. And the fact that next season, hopefully opening game, it will be Trae Young, AD, year 3 of Sar and George, and hopefully your top 4 pick is ready to make his debut. It's going to be a fun lineup, and I expect Capital One Arena to actually be decked out by Wizards fans.
And you know what, AB, in that situation, like, you kept your first round pick this year, and you still have a legitimate likely chance of finishing with the worst record in the league, making your floor 5. And you actually played Trae Young. You got Trae Young to play for 5 games, and you got to see what that fit looked like. You saw, I think it was 2 games or maybe 3 games that he played with Sar. But just seeing Trae Young on the floor, providing the gravity that he provides, the ability to break down a defense, the playmaking prowess, the scoring ability, getting to the rim and finishing, you got to see all of that. And it was exciting to watch it when it was out there. I think those 5 games were legitimately fun games to watch for this team because you get to see this real all-NBA talent in Trae Young, a 4-time All-Star that took a team to the Eastern Conference Finals 5 years ago. You got to see that talent on display, like a true star on the floor for this Wizards team for the first time in a while. Those minutes were a lot of fun, and it got me really excited about what's to come next year because we needed a player with that type of ability, and now you're hopefully going to have that for a whole season next year.
Every time Trey played at home, Ben, it just seemed like he was our lottery pick this season. He was just going out there, and it just goes to show that we just wanted to see success so bad. Us Wizards fans, we're craving it, and it starts with having good, talented players. And alongside Trey Young, you're hoping that this top 4 pick, whoever the guy is, you're damn right. When he comes to DC, he's going to feel loved.
I can't wait for it. Next year, I think will be legitimately so much fun for Wizards fans just to see what this looks like, to have real stars on the floor again. Hopefully you're landing a top pick in this draft, so that would generate a little bit more buzz. But this is a basketball city that's been craving a good product. And next year, you're going to finally see this team legitimately try to put that good product on the floor. They don't have anything to worry about. They don't have pick protections to worry about anymore. In fact, you'd have to imagine that, like, people within the organization, not even just ownership, but Will Dawkins, Michael Winger, the coaching staff, the players, they need success too. Like, the players don't want to go out there and have to lose all the time. That's not something that's ideal. They're ready to take that next step. And I think everybody is just trying to get through the end of the season here because they know next year the expectations are going to be different and they're going to have to turn it up a notch there.
Just an interesting nugget, Ben, also. The Caps, fortunately, aren't making the playoffs, and it just seems like this is Ovi's last go-around. So next season, no Ovechkin for the Capitals. They're going to be rebuilding. If you're Ted Leonsis, you got to bank on the Wizards actually being competitive. So year 4 better be a movie.
So Ovi just today announced that he's not making his decision until the offseason either. So now everything is really in limbo. Nobody knows if he's going to come back to the Capitals.
What do you
or
think,
not.
Ben? Do you think he's hanging it up?
I lean he doesn't come back, but the fact that it's even going to the offseason at this point and he's not even going to like do the bit that Gretzky did where you announce it 2 days before your final game is, it makes it seem like there is a bit of a possibility he comes back, but I would still lean no. But it is an interesting point. They're going to want to invest more into the Washington Wizards basketball team because you're not going to have the same attendance outputs, I don't think, with Ovechkin out there. And maybe I'm wrong about that just because the team has had sustained success. And, like, the Capitals have legitimate young pieces on that team. And I think even if you don't have Ovechkin around anymore, they're going to be able to use whatever spot that, he doesn't take anymore. They're going to be able to accumulate more young talent and continue to build that thing up. I think the Capitals are building a really good young foundation right now as well. They're probably just like a piece or 2 away from being back to kind of where they were. But it'll be a devastating day, obviously, for Capitals fans, for Ted and everybody involved, just because, like, that dude put butts in the seats for 20 straight years.
It's a DC legend, man.
He's the greatest athlete in DC sports history. Like, there's no doubting that. He's one of the best hockey players of all time, the NHL's all-time leading goal scorer. So you're losing that output, that product, Ted's going to have to really hope that this basketball team can turn things around and take a big step forward next year, right?
Yeah, and it all starts with making sure the lottery odds are in your favor, and then from there, I just really think, Ben, if everything goes well, I think 35 wins is the floor. I don't think is it crazy to say that from going from 17 to 35? I just don't think it's enough doubling your win total from last season.
I mean, legitimately, if that team is healthy and everything falls into place for them, they could easily win over 45 games, maybe even approach 50. I think will be the biggest caveat with the whole thing. But you're going to have to hope that you get some more leaps out of these young players. I think year 3 of Alex Sarr could be really, really special. Like, we haven't got to see him really be unleashed since at the halfway point in the season. So we almost forget, like, how good Alex Sarr was playing at one point this year just because he's kind of been in and out of the lineup and he's been dealing with some of the injury stuff. It's going to be exciting to see what happens next year and what that product looks like. But I know a lot of people on this channel, a lot of people in the building are going to be insanely fired up for what next year will be. All right, yesterday, got to talk to Justin Champagnie a little bit in the Wizards locker room. He detailed some of the things why he feels the player development has been pristine despite the results on the floor. I'll tell you why next. Spring is a natural reset point. If there's one thing that can quietly cost businesses money, it's messy communication, missed calls, scattered text, no clear thread of who said what. And that's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo. Spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2 with over 3,000 reviews, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses. It lets your entire team share one business number so you never miss a call, text, or opportunity. The part that I love, everything lives in one clean thread. Calls, text, voicemails. The whole team sees the conversation so nothing falls through the cracks. And the AI summary saves serious time by logging calls and highlighting the next steps automatically. It just makes your business feel more organized and responsive. Make this the season that no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's quo.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Got to talk to AB's guy, Justin Champagnie. He's my guy as well. He's so damn good. I can't wait to see him like really playing adequate minutes in the rotation next year because this team won't have to hide him anymore because he is that damn good, a winning basketball player. One thing that came up was winning basketball plays. He literally brought that up himself, which just shows you like the fact that it's in his brain, it's ingrained into his mentality shows why he is the way he is on the floor. I asked him, I said, based on what you've done this year, I know the season hasn't fully ended yet, so you haven't had time to fully reflect on everything you've accomplished, everything you've done this year. What are you going to be intentive about this offseason for your development? And he's like, I just want to do anything that's going to make me a better basketball player. I want to focus even more on making winning basketball plays. So I said, can you elaborate on that? Because I think the term winning basketball play gets thrown around so much, but what's your definition of that, Justin Champagnie? And he said doing anything that makes the team win, whether that's diving on that loose ball on the floor, taking a foul when you need to, going up for the offensive rebound, crashing the boards with purpose and intent, playing hard-nosed defense every single night. And it just means a lot that you have a player with that type of organizational foundation that they've tried to instill in these players that can really embody that. Justin Champagnie is going to be the biggest leader by example for this franchise next season. And that's why we've been saying the whole year that he needs to be one of these core pieces, part of the foundation. As a 24-year-old player, he's gone through the ranks of player development with the Capital City Go-Go, made his way up on the two-way contract, got converted to a standard contract. Now he's on one of the best contracts in the league right now. For playing practically for nothing, he goes out there and he works his ass off every single night for this team, and he makes the plays that are necessary to make a team better. He makes your defense better. He can make you better offensively. He's a smart, high IQ basketball player. And next year, when you finally get to see him unleashed, not having to receive all these random DNPs, I think he's going to be a big reason why they win a lot more games next year.
Music to my ears, Ben. You just can't say enough nice things about JC. And it was frustrating to start the season where he would not get any minutes at all, and then it was limited to 7 or 8, and then he started getting his minutes ramped up. And it just goes to show that when he plays too much, he's going to essentially win you the game because he can do everything. Rebound at 6'6", score, assist the ball as well. I think next season, when this team is winning more games than expected, NBA fans that are not Wizards fans or that don't watch the Wizards too much will realize, hey, his brother can hoop, but the other brother can hoop as well in DC. And I'm excited for his ability to play on a winning basketball team because he can be a very like multi-versatile piece, Ben. I mean, he really does it all. And the contract value, I mean, I forgot the numbers, Ben. Is less than 5-6 mil, 8 mil? I don't even remember. But at such a good value in what he offers you, you just love to see that. And again, you go back to the Capital City Go-Go development that starts with having a really good organization. They develop from the bottom to the top.
He's only making $2.4 million.
Oh my God!
Right
wow.
now.
That's
next
amazing,
year he's
man.
going to make 2.6, and then he has a club option for 2027, and that year he'll make $3 million.
Wow.
So you're paying this guy practically nothing. And maybe, honestly, he gets an extension at some point with this organization if they're going to keep him around because, based on the reporting that we got from Greg Finberg a couple of weeks ago, there were teams that called with trade offers on the table for Justin Champagnie, and they were not willing to part ways with him. When I saw that we trade for Anthony Davis, my heart sank. I was like, please tell me we didn't trade Champagnie. I really would not be happy about that. And obviously they didn't do that. And that was a really important thing, I think, for this organization's future to keep him around. I asked him, I said, You've rose through the ranks of this organization within player development. What is it going to take for other players around you to take those same rises? Why do you have confidence that the guys behind you are going to do the same thing that you did here? And he said that the Go-Go and the Wizards are very intentional with the work they make them put in. They take pride in making sure they're getting the work in every single day. And he literally said, excuse my language, but we're not BSing ourselves. The opportunity to play is very important for us as well. A lot of places you may not get the opportunity to play. It doesn't present itself. So the Wizards give everybody a good opportunity to go out there and show what they've been working on and show what they're made of. And as a young kid in the NBA, that's all you can really ask for. So the fact that Champagnie finally got his opportunity with this team last year, they could just see it based on probably the advanced metrics, the numbers. They collect a ton of data. And just the type of plays he was making, they're like, whoa, this is a legit NBA player right here that can win you basketball games, and they acted quick. You got to have some foresight, and they signed him to a new contract that was very, very cheap. A really, really good move for that organization when they made it, just because he'd been playing well for a couple of months or so, but it's not always the case where a guy will play well for a couple of months. Like sometimes they cool off and they go back to regressing to the mean or whatever. Champagnie was not one of those guys. They could see it pretty early on what type of player he was.
I'm so comfortable with him, Ben, that next season, if there was a huge injury with your wings, you can just slot him in there and let him start, and he's going to still impact the game one way or another. And I'm excited for that because, again, we haven't seen such development talent, at least previous regimes, compared to now where you have guys like JC from the Capital City Go-Go, and you see the development and the fact they're on key contracts. It's just a whole different regime. It's a whole different ballgame. Just to piggyback off of young guys, Jameer Watkins, Tristan Vujovic, second-round picks that got second contracts. Little things like that generally show that this regime is doing it different.
Absolutely. I'm thrilled that we have, some real developmental pieces like Champagnie part of this equation. But most importantly, the mission is accomplished for this Washington Wizards team. They're going to have a good chance to get a top pick in this draft. They might fall to 5, but they might very well pick 1. They will have a first-round pick, which has been the most important thing this entire season. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Wizards. We want to thank everybody for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. For your second, check out Locked On NBA Fantasy Basketball or our 24/7 live stream courtesy of Locked On NBA. For Abdullah Ayyubi, I'm Ben Strober. DC family, that top 8 protection cloud is gone.